Hello everyone, back at it again in my little yellow kayak. We got a cold December morning here. Air temperatures are about 38 degrees, so it's pretty chilly. I'm bundled up with all kinds of layers, and I've got some fingerless fleece gloves on. Those are key for fishing in colder temperatures. They're good down to about 38, 35 degrees if there's no wind. And you get a lot better feel having those fingers free. I'll be honest, in the morning they're a little chilly, but once that sun got a little higher and the temperature came up a little bit, I was feeling pretty good. It also helps if you bundle up your core. Your hands stay a little warmer then. You can also use hand warmers or use mitts for paddling around. Put a hand warmer in those mitts. That'll keep your fingers a little bit more dexterous and keep the feeling going. But what I'm doing today is I'm fishing panfish plastics for trout. There's a lot of different panfish plastics. There's some marketed directly towards crappie. There's even some ice fishing lures that are pretty good for trout. But yeah, what I'm fishing today is a little tube. It's actually a gold sparkle tube that my friend Ron gave me. It doesn't have a lot of action, and I've got a 1/16 ounce tin jig head in the front of it. And the way I fish it is just with short hops. I'm trying to cast towards rising fish, and they're rising towards little bugs and midges that don't look anything like a gold sparkle tube. On different days, different colors seem to work best. I do well with yellow and white. I've got a few favorite colors. All white is pretty good for brookies. Yellow and white all around, but especially browns. In darker water, sometimes I'll use a black tube if the water is really stained. Most of these trout ponds tend to have pretty clear water, at least around me. But all kinds of panfish plastics work. Little worms, tubes, crawfish type lures, creature baits. And the trout stay pretty active even in the colder temperatures. You can see them on ice fishing videos underwater, and they're moving around. They're hunting, and they're spinning around and doing 90-degree turns to get back at the lure. You can compare that to some largemouth you see underwater through the ice, and they're just cruising like submarines. They're not moving a lot. So when you get them in the net, they're pretty active, and they'll spin like they'll do an alligator death roll. And I'm trying to minimize handling of the trout right here, keep my fingers mostly dry, and just let him out. With those single hook jig heads, they usually release pretty well. Most of the time you get them right in the mouth or the corner of the mouth or the roof of the mouth. And so catch and release is pretty easy. I'm in a kayak. I don't really want a whole lot of trebles in around my cold fingers. And you can pick and choose which fish you decide to keep for the table and release. And maybe you want to only keep rainbows and let the browns go, or vice versa. You can select easily for which fish you're going to keep because they all release really well. And it's just a fun way for me to fish. I like seeing the fish, casting to the fish, trying to fool individual fish. It's a completely different approach than, say, fishing power eggs on the bank. Now, power eggs on the bank work. You'll catch a lot of trout doing that. But the trout tend to swallow the bait if you're not really quick on the pickup. There's another trout. If he'd sit still, I'd get a close-up for you. There he is. Got my finger a little wet in the process there, but that's okay. Starting to warm up a bit. Yeah, with the single hook, the fish release really well. You can pick and choose which ones you keep. Or, like today, I'm just releasing all the fish. Stock trout are pretty good to eat, especially good in a smoker. I found that out a few years ago now, I guess, but almost as good as bluefish in the smoker. And what I'm doing here is I'm casting to rising fish. Now it's a pretty cold morning. There's not too many fish rising. It's a little hard to see them on video, but there were a few. And I'm trying to lead the fish a little bit. I'm fishing that tube with little short pops and pauses. It's really in the upper end of the water column. If there's no fish rising, you're better off fishing low and slow. The other thing I do with the tube is I add a little piece of real earthworm, or sometimes called trout worms or red worms. That's a little guy all chromed up. And that little bit of flavor seems to help seal the deal. They hold on to it a little better. I can get a better hook set. And one of the things I had to do, because the water was so clear, and you can see it in this little clip right here, is switch down to 2-pound test, straight mono. It's Maxima Ultra Green. And that's a good trick. If you're not getting bites in clear water, just fish straight 2-pound mono and try a few different baits. And if they still won't hit it, you know, it might be too late in the day, or you got the wrong lure, or you're at the wrong pond. Something's not quite right. If they won't hit something with 2-pound test, there's a problem there somewhere. But I got 3 on this day, and my friend Ron was out there with me. He was fishing a different part of the pond. He got 3 too. And anytime you're catching fish in December, that's a good day. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll list all the gear in the video description. See ya!